Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about shading and coloring our picture today. Shading and coloring are adding values, darks, mediums, and really light areas. That's what makes your picture look a little bit more realistic. So you have two different pictures here. One is at night and one is at daytime. The nighttime one is going to have a lot more dark areas, and the daytime one is going to have more light areas, like in here. And you can see that the water is a lot lighter than this one. This would be the easier one, and this would be a little bit more difficult one. I'm going to show you how to do the shading on this one right now, at least how to start. I would start with your darkest areas first. So that's going to be the main part of the bridge, these legs right here, and then this would be like the tree line. So you can use either a pencil or you can use a dark colored pencil, either is fine. And I would start shading in those areas. So you just take your pencil and you start shading in this dark area here. So I'm continuing shading this part of the bridge. I am using a regular pencil and I am pushing pretty hard, and you can see that I am shading in the same direction as the bridge. The bridge starts to go down, so I'm shading with that same angle. If I decided to shade in a bunch of different directions like that, that's going to end up looking really messy. So you shouldn't really be changing directions, and you shouldn't be going fast. The only time you change directions, you can see I'm getting up to this post right here. I'm just going to change, and I'm going to kind of lightly push my pencil down, and I'm kind of almost moving my pencil in a circle like this. So there's not really one direction, so I can't see the pencil direction marks. So I'm going really slow on the areas that have more detail. Now hopefully I can cover over this area if I just push a little bit harder. You don't want to have any marks going outside like this. That's going to make it look messy, so it needs to be nice and neat. So you have this part of the bridge done. Now I also need to do these lines. That's just going to be easy. I'm just going to make those solid dark. I'm also going to shade this part of the bridge in solid dark as well. I'm going to just make this line right here a little bit thicker. And you can see that I turn my paper upside down because my hand makes a natural curve this way. You can see that my pencil, so if I'm trying to go, this is more unnatural. I'm forcing my hand to go backwards versus this is very natural. So I'm going to rotate my paper so that I can work on this line a lot easier. And you can see that I'm pushing hard. I'm kind of going over that line several times to make it a little bit thicker. And connecting it at the top. And again, I rotated. These are kind of like doing those dark sketch lines where I'm just drawing a little tiny chunk at a time, making sure that these don't cross in front of those braces because this cable is going behind there. Okay, so it's kind of starting to come together. Let's get our picture back so we can kind of check on that. So you can see that it's dark all the way from here down. So I'm just going to, just so that there's some subtle difference, I'm going to start going dark, but I'm going to be shading vertically up and down, and I'm going to do this all the way down to the bottom. Then underneath I'm changing to horizontal again because that's how this piece is made. So I'm going to match that. If you want to make some subtle variations, and maybe I want to make this part of the bridge super, super dark on the bottom so that we can still see, and then make it lighter on the top. I make it lighter by not pushing as hard, and I make it darker by pushing very hard. You can also see how I'm holding my pencil kind of on the side like this, not up and down like when you write your name. So I'm going to come over here and start doing the other one. And again, if we look at our picture, this also, up until the bridge where there's lights shining on the bridge, this is also pretty dark. And again, I'm going to make the bottom part where this arch is, I'm going to make that the darkest by pushing down really hard with my pencil, just because I want there to be a little bit of a separation. I'm going to make the bottom part of this bridge also very, very dark by pushing down harder. All right, so that's that so far. Now the tricky part. This right here kind of goes in a gradient, and you can either add color or you can keep it black and white. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So since I have been using a regular pencil to do this part of the bridge, the dark part, I'm going to actually combine using my pencil and colored pencils. So I'm going to use some yellows because this kind of has a yellow kind of a color, and I might also need a little bit of brown in there. So these are the colors that I'm going to do. We'll start with this one because it's bigger and that's a little bit easier. It's always easier to do the big things first. Now this is kind of tricky. You can see it's pretty dark on this top part where there's this 1, 2, 3, there's 3 little, we'll call them windows. This top window, around that, it's pretty dark. So I can take my pencil and come in and start shading. Now as I get down, see I'm pushing hard up here, and now I'm barely pushing at all, and this is getting really light down here. So that's important. You need to have it go dark to light. I'm going to do the other side the same. Maybe I can carry down this dark value a little bit more. Everything that you do, you need to be thinking and planning ahead. You need to figure out what your plan is and how you're going to accomplish that. Okay, so we're looking here, this is pretty dark, and then it gradually fades down to here. Now these two sides are not the same. I think I need to make this one a little bit dark, and you can see actually the dark comes all the way down where that cable kind of starts, or to the corner of this window. Now these don't exactly match up, so I'm just going to bring this dark down a little bit more, and gradually have it fade out. Okay, now this top part is going to be pretty dark as well, and again I'm changing to shading horizontally. Okay, and this one is kind of a medium value. It's kind of got some dark mixed in there, so I'm going to just do this a little bit lighter. Okay, now we have the colored part. I'm going to take my colored pencil and I'm going to start putting yellow. This yellow is pretty bright. I think I'm going to change and I'm going to use this yellow. That was kind of like a neon color. So you have to spend some time choosing the right color. Now watch, as these two come together, I'm going to lightly color over some of the pencil area so that these two colors can mix together so they gradually change from one to the other. And I'm even going to bring some of this yellow up into this horizontal part, and I'm also going to bring it on the other side because you can still see it shine through some of that pencil. And it's very bright here still, so I'm going to add this. And then it comes straight on down here. We're going to go over some of this with some black or with your pencil again. So here I have my pencil. You can kind of see that there's a little dark line that goes up on the side to give us a thickness here. So we're going to come up, gradually fade this up into the yellow, and gradually fade this down a little bit. And we're just going to kind of make a little line right on the very edge to kind of give us a little bit of a idea of some thickness there, and then I'm just going to blend that up. There's also some kind of design or texture right in here. We can see it's a little bit darker. So this is the general idea of how you would go about. We would add more detail later. I could even come in here on the top where it's darker. I could add a little bit of brown. I'm just adding it lightly. And the color looks strange right now because we haven't added any of this other color into the picture. Once we add the other color in the picture, it's going to really start coming together.